Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to this special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, where we're going to look at iconic Masters singles. It has been 1 week since the set has been released, and we're going to check in, see where everything stands, as cards are beginning to, and I say this very loosely, beginning to stabilize a little bit. So we're starting to zero in on the actual values of these cards, at least in the short term. Now, quickly before we get started, just a really fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you will find a few ways to support us. Patreon's down there. You're going to find some links to products on Amazon. Today's actually Black Friday. There's been some good deals. You may want to check out Amazon just to see if there's anything out there like Iconic Masters. These boxes are actually going a lot cheaper this weekend, so you may want to check that out. And also, Flipside Gaming, they have a promo code for our viewers as always, so they're linked below as well. With that out of the way, let's get into it because we got a lot to talk about. Start off with the top 10 Iconic Masters cards that have lost value this week. So you're going to see a few interesting things here. A lot of things you would expect, like cards that are high value cards losing value because packs are being opened, the normal run-of-the-mill stuff. I think there's a few surprises, though, as well. You're going to see, especially when we get to the cards that are gaining value list. But there's a lot of uncertainty around this set right now. And here's the things you got to watch out for if you're thinking about buying singles right now. First off, big box stores got a whole bunch of this product. Now, we don't know how much is going to continue to flow in, but that could have a big impact on pricing in the next month or two. The last week, when the set actually came out, there was a lot of packs available. They sell them in the 3-pack draft packs. There was a lot available at Targets and Walmarts. I saw them firsthand myself, right? I even opened some on the channel. Now, if that trend continues, that could mean prices potentially could bottom out. The reason for that, I mean, a lot of people say, well, they always print a lot of Masters stuff. I mean, distributors get a lot. Sometimes they even do a second wave like they did with Eternal Masters. How is this any different? The big difference is no matter how many LGSs and distributors decide to buy boxes or bought those like Eternal Masters boxes in the second wave, right? That is a drop in the bucket compared to when you stock every Walmart and Target in the world. That's a big, big difference. There's nothing that can create more product than selling it at big box stores, quite honestly. So we do have to watch that. Now, after this weekend, if they just disappear off shelves and we never see them again, well, that gives the cards time to stabilize. But if they restock next weekend, then all bets are off, and I can't even begin to tell you what's going to happen to the value of these cards. So we're going to have to watch that closely. The other thing you'll notice is boxes are going cheap. There is a weakened confidence in the product a little bit. And I've seen boxes going for as low as $150 this weekend. 160, 165, 170 are common. So just look around, do some shopping around. But again, that could all impact these values going forward. I think that's important to note before we get into the cards. So with that being said, let's get into it. Number 10, Kokusho, the Evening Star, down 83 cents to 830. This is an awesome legendary dragon for commander purposes. If you're a fan of the dragon archetype, if you want to perhaps play that dragon commander deck, this is a good one to pick up. Not bad, losing 83 cents this week. You can actually get it at a pretty nice price. I do think this will tick down a little more, though, considering it is a rare. Number 9, Yosai, the Morning Star, another one, down 85 cents to 232. Okay, not as popular as Kokusho for those decks, but still a very good card for those decks, and you can get it relatively cheap. Another card that I do think will continue to go down more, though. Number 8, Vorinclex Voice of Hunger, down 88 cents to 12.25. Now, out of all the Praetors, this one is moving the most this week. The others are holding relatively stable, but this one loses almost $1. It's pretty significant. This card is another good commander card. This does see a tad bit, and I do want to emphasize tad bit of modern play, sometimes out of a sideboard of like a Tooth and Nail deck. You don't see a lot of Tooth and Nail decks currently in the meta, but every once in a while that deck will be floating around. But aside from that, this is really a fun kind of casual card more than anything. Number 7, Auriok Champion, down $1.29 to $7.52. A much needed reprint. I'm glad to see this out there and getting more copies for players and bringing the value down so people can get their hands on it. It's just good to see. Just generally with this particular card, it's seeing less modern play maybe than it used to. Still comes out of sideboard sometimes, but you're not seeing it around as much as it was at one time. Still a great casual card though, if nothing else. Number 6, Grove of the Burn Willows, down $1.50 to $15.75. This is an awesome non-basic land. Now, it's a bigger deal in the world of, say, Legacy and Vintage. Of course, the combos of Punishing Fire, you're going to find this in like 4-color Loams decks and Lands decks. It's great there. The only thing about this card to keep in mind is it's a little bit niche as far as the player base that wants it, because Vintage and Legacy players probably already have their copies for the most part. It's still a good card in some other casual places too, and I do think it will tick down a little bit more before it finally stabilizes. Number 5, Magus of the Moon, down $1.62 to $10.80. Wow, this card became very reasonable very quickly, actually. And it is a card that does see play sometimes when a deck wants to use Blood Moon, but they also want to put pressure on their opponent. Like Big Red and Legacy is a good example of that. A few other places too, you'll find Magus of the Moon. But this is a big decrease compared to where the original version of the card was just a few months ago. And that is mostly due to the fact that the original version was very, very rare too. You do have to keep that in mind. Some of those future sight cards are getting harder and harder to find. So having a reprint of this, very welcome. Number 4, Glimpse the Unthinkable, down $1.63 to $9.99. This card was from the original Ravnica, has never seen a reprinting, so it's very welcome here. Yeah, it sees a tad bit of modern play from time to time. There's a little mill deck that kind of bounces around, sneaks up on you in a tournament every once in a while, but for the most part, this is a casual card. And a lot of casual players have been waiting a long time to pick this up because of the price point of that original version prior to the set being announced. So, yeah, you know what? The alternate win condition that is popular among a subset of players, mill being one of those. Yeah, no surprise this card is popular, but at the same time, those players are starting to get their copies already. I think this does tick down at least a little bit more before it stabilizes. Number 3, Flusterstorm, down $207 to $29.95. Another card that desperately needed a reprinting. The original version of this from Commander 2011 at one point was worth $100. That's come down a little bit. This one, of course, is a great deal if you need the card. But the thing is, there is only a small subset of players that might actually need this card or might need more than one copy of this card, for example. Those are players that play Vintage and Legacy. And it's a good card there. Sometimes on the sideboard, I've seen this main decked many a times too. But I do think this one will continue to creep down. I think the reason for the higher price point, again, was the lack of availability. Number 2, Horizon Canopy, down $2.23 this week to $36.58. However, I want to call something to your attention. Even though this is down rather significantly, it has gone up in the last 24 hours. So why is that? Well, there's probably a couple of reasons for it. One, new art. I think new art's going to help some of these cards maybe hold or maintain a little more value. People like a particular art style, they might be gravitated towards this card. Secondly, and probably way more importantly, is its inclusion in the Humans deck right now. Humans deck, incredibly popular right now in Modern. A lot of people scrambling to build that deck. Some of them are waiting for this set to be released. So this isn't the only card that's going to be impacted by that deck. I warn you now, we're going to talk more about that deck in a few minutes. There's players out there that didn't want to spend $70, $80, $90 on a Horizon Canopy when they knew it was going to be released in this set at Rare. They waited, but they don't want to wait that much longer. So they're going to jump in now and they're going to say, you know what? Okay, $35, take my money, just give me the Horizon Canopies. I'm not going to wait for this to come down anymore. I've already waited a couple months, right? So you're going to see that going on with this card a little bit. And also, too, it's just a highly playable card in just a lot of other decks, too. You have to keep that in mind. So what's going to happen with this thing? I do think some of the tick up might be due to the fact that it is a holiday weekend with Black Friday and everything. You might see some weird tick ups just because of that over the course of the next day or two. But I do think this will go down a little more before it finally hits its bottom. Like I said at the opening of the show, though, I don't know how much that's going to be because it just depends on how much product they flood us with. If they throw a ton of this stuff in Walmarts and Targets over the next month or two, then Horizon Canopy and all these cards are going to lose probably a good percentage of value. But if that doesn't happen, if they kind of cut off the big box stores, things could stabilize faster than you would maybe even think. So my advice is, if you're in the market to pick up a card like this, stay really, really close to the market. Don't take your eyes off it. Check in every couple days or so, see what's going on, and try to catch it before it starts to inflate. Number 1, Mana Drain, down $3.91 to $85. So pretty good loss for it this week. But again, another card that ticked up just a little bit in the last 24 hours. Worth noting. Now, is that an indicator of true stabilization? No, not yet, right? We have to see what happens after this weekend. Again, this is a big shopping weekend. So, Mana Drain, this is a card that, again, is maybe more interesting for a subset of players. Commander players probably want a copy. Once they get their copy, Vintage players probably already have 4 copies of this. I mean, maybe they want another one of this new one because it's got new art. It might be interesting, but I think for the most part, the folks that play Vintage have their copies, and this card isn't going to entice anyone to enter the world of Vintage just by having it reprinted here. So I don't think it's going to get like that weird boost that you see sometimes when a rare like Modern or even Legacy card gets a reprint. So I do think this will stabilize relatively quickly. Again, this is a very popular card though. It has a lot of mystique behind it, and the new art really is beautiful. So this isn't a card you're going to pick up for $60 or $55 at any time, I don't think. But $85 still feels a little high. I do think this card will be going down a little more. All right, let's move into the cards that have gained value this week. A few interesting things here to take a look at. We'll start off with number 10. It's Crucible of Fire, up 3 cents to 29 cents. So you're probably saying to yourself, what? Crucible of Fire up 3 cents? How did this make the list? Well, here's the thing you got to remember. Right now, what this list is going to tell us, these first 3 or 4 cards we're going to look at, basically probably could have been anything. It really means that the set is not increasing in value. With a few small exceptions we'll look at the end of the list here, the set right now overall is declining in value. And that's because, and it's to be expected, because there's a lot of product out there. People are opening it, they're playing some drafts, they're playing some seal, they're just opening boxes. So these cards are entering the market and getting new life basically in the secondary market, which means for the most part, the growth financially of the set is going to be on the negative side, at least currently, with the exception again of a few cards. So that's really what these first cards are going to tell you more than anything. But I will point out too, Crucible of Fire, if you don't have it for Commander Dragons, it's a good card to pick up. It's real cheap. Number 9, Windfall, up 3 cents to 41 cents. Good uncommon too, another really cheap pickup. Number 8, Mer-Ek Nightblade, up 4 cents to 18 cents, another good uncommon. Number 7, Genesis Hydra, up 5 cents to 44 cents. Okay, first rare on the list. Not a rare that sees competitive play or anything, but again, it's kind of a fun card, again, for casual play more than anything, and it's another real cheap pickup. Number 6, Cryptic Command, up 12 cents to $21. Okay, this one is the first interesting card to talk about. The increase is very small, but it makes it feel like this card is stabilized around the $20 mark. Kind of interesting. Now, again, like I said before, this is going to be dependent on what actually happens with the flow of product here. If this product continues to flow the way it feels like it's flowing, all bets are off. But at least for right now, Cryptic is holding steady. But why is that? Well, it's a very popular card, and I do think maybe it was a little underestimated, maybe forgotten about a little bit, because everyone was looking at the Shiny Horizon Canopy and the Mana Drain and the Fluster Storms, that type of stuff, that they kind of forgot about the cards that were reprinted like in other Master sets, like your Cryptic Command, your Thoughtseize, which was in Theros. Like, I do think a lot of the really, really strong cards at Rare maybe were just a tad bit overlooked when it came to pre-ordering singles and stuff. But now that they're out there, there's more attention on them again, and this is an awesome modern card for control purposes. Number 5, Archangel of Thune, up 31 cents to $12.61. This one's a mythic. And again, another card that's maybe a little underappreciated when it came to its pre-order time period. It's another great commander card. It even sees a tad bit of modern play again, sometimes like an Abzan Company deck out of the board, stuff like that. But not a huge play or anything in the constructed competitive world, but great casual card. Number 4, Thoughtseize, up 55 cents to $15.97. Okay, this one going up actually more than $0.50. That's rather significant. Couple things going on here. First off, going back to the original art, I think was a nice thing to do. Not that there was anything wrong with the Theros art. I actually like the art quite a bit. But that original art from the harder to find Lorwyn version, a lot of players that were looking to get this art didn't want to spend the $50 a couple months ago. They waited, and now they're jumping on this opportunity. So I think you're seeing that a little bit and why there's some quick stabilization with this card. Also, too, I mean, if you're a fan of maybe the darker art or just fairies, maybe play a fairy deck or something, you might be gravitated towards this particular version. So, yeah, it's going to go up a little bit this week. And again, this is just a great staple for Vintage, Legacy, Modern. And because of that, I don't see this card dipping all that much further, honestly. It could go down a little more, but again, just expecting them not to flood the world with cards in big box stores, which maybe they will, maybe they won't. But if they don't, yeah, I do think this card still goes down a little bit more, but I don't see it going down below maybe like the $12 mark. Like at that point, it feels like it's going to be more than reasonable for the power level of this card. Number 3, Consecrated Sphinx, up 63 cents to $12.99. Another mythic that's up a little bit this week. This card used to see a little bit of modern play, not as much anymore. Sometimes it sees a tad bit of vintage play, but really, again, this is an awesome commander card. And again, the commander set that doesn't have this card, they're going to pick it up. Number 2, Ancestral Vision, up $1.34 to 1976. That's a pretty nice bump for this card, considering so many packs have been open this week. It's a rare. The set seems to be kind of flowing everywhere. And this card's actually seeing a little bit less play in Modern than it was maybe a couple months ago. So why the bump? I think it's really the John Avon art. John Avon, amazing artist. I really like the original Ancestral Vision art. I'm probably still my favorite of the two, honestly. But this one is really sweet too. So I do think a lot of players will gravitate towards this one. And that's probably part of the reason you're seeing the bump here. Also, too, another card that's maybe a little bit underlooked during the pre-release time period. Number 1, Ether Vial. What is the deal? Of $344 to $33.93. Why is this card so hot? Well, I do think pre-release prices really under-anticipated the fact that this card is so popular right now in Modern. And that's because of the Humans deck again. A lot of decks this card sees playing, but the Humans deck has got a ton of attention on it. Much like I was saying with Horizon Canopy, players who are going to say, you know what, I'm not going to spend $50 on an Ether Vial for Modern Masters. I'm going to wait for Iconic Masters to come out. And all right, it's out. $30, take my money. Yes, it might go down some more at some point, but I'm not going to wait any longer. I need to build this Humans deck, and getting basically $20 off the card, I'm good with that. Let's move on. So I do think that's what you're going to see here to some degree. Now, again, the product is still being open. It's still flowing out there. This thing's rare. I anticipate some stabilization and some value to go down. But if you're in the market for a card like this, don't underestimate that Humans deck right now and how popular it is and what kind of strain it's putting on the secondary market. So stick really close to a card like this and just kind of wait for the right moment to strike. All right, that's the Market Watch Special Edition. Now, there's a lot of questions here that I can't even answer because we've never seen anything like this before. We've never seen a Master set come out at the holiday time before. We've never seen a Master set that, I mean, I'll tell you, the card selection in is probably middle of the road. Like, it's not Modern Masters 2017 where they threw the fetches in. That was huge. It's not maybe as bad as Modern Masters 2015, where we had a lot of like low value cards, at least at that time. A lot of those cards have gone up since, but at that time there was a lot of like low value rares and stuff in that set. I don't know if it's quite as bad as that one, but card selection, probably middle of the road. But you have the weirdness that it's out during the holiday time, and also the whole big box store thing is just throwing off any sort of metrics that we can compare other master sets to, quite honestly. And it leaves for a lot of questions that are going to be answered over the next couple months when we look at the prices of these cards. But a lot of it right now is just pure speculation as to what's going to happen. Now, when you see boxes selling for $150, $160, $170, that's not a good sign for card values increasing, by the way. So keep that in mind. It does mean things could stabilize, but it doesn't necessarily mean some of these cards will crash either, like your Ether Vials, your Horizon Canopies, that are going to continue to be cards that are much needed and sought after for certain decks. As a matter of fact, they could lead to other singles that aren't in the set spiking for people trying to put together those decks. So keep that in mind too as you make your purchases over the next few weeks. But that being said, hey, tomorrow we're going to come back with another Market Watch, the regular edition. But until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.